Hello, everyone. I'm Jeffrey Blanchard,
And I'm Jeffrey K. Holbrook.
and this is the weekly catch up. Well, I think we're getting very sophisticated now, aren't we?
I'm feeling it. I really am.
So we've got all these different options on for all the different things we want to do. But I think this is the first one where we've actually put down a time that we're going to be on, and got there at that time, advertised it, and going from there. But don't know if anybody's watching. We'll soon find out anyway.
Yeah, I think once we let it be known that that's what's happening all the time, that eventually someone will show up whenever they get up in the morning before they start getting ready for work or something like that. I think.
Yeah, I think that will be the case as well, is because it's one of those sort of awkward times. It's later at night here, and then very early in the morning where you are, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Like I say, on the East Coast, it's early in the morning, so it's like 3 in the morning over on the West Coast. So, a few people right now would be up ready, getting ready for work. But as far as like actually anything fancy, I don't think that's going to happen.
And did you see we got in our little test we did on Sunday night? If anybody was looking at that, Eileeny commented on that.
Oh, okay. I watched it, but on TV, but I had not gone back to see if anyone said anything on it.
Yeah, so Eileeny did a comment on there. Says, "Oh, I've caught up with you guys."
Yeah, after she was on episode 11, and like you say, I guess she still hasn't heard the promo yet, but she'll hear it. Let's see, episode 77 just came out, so episode 80 is when that promo is coming out, and they come out every 2 weeks, so it'll be about a month and a half or so when then she'll hear that on the feed, because I know she listens to the feed for Libsyn, so I think she'll be hearing that really, really quickly. There was something that happened last week that we talked about last week that wasn't actually factual.
Oh,
There'll
what
be a,
was that?
there'll be a correction.
Oh,
Um, all the major news services, ABC, NBC, and all that, carried the story that President Obama, had actually done an executive order to ban the Pledge of Allegiance.
that's what I thought. That was a strange one.
Yes, it was strange to start with, but I'm a real skeptic on these things until I see some type of verification. But after it being carried on, you know, several of the main news services, ABC, NBC, things like that, and then the story was specific. I mean, it was quoting him, and all that. And so, okay. And so, I went ahead and went with it, and that was a complete hoax. And they not just fooled me, they fooled everyone.
It's amazing, though, isn't it? If it's said on the internet or on YouTube or anything, it's got to be true.
Well, my main thing is I believe it's not true if I see it on the internet for the most part.
That's me.
But
Yeah,
but every so often they just take you in. They got me, I guess.
well, it's just strange how you said we can just believe anything we're sort of fed at the moment. So I'm
Hmm.
seeing you being a bit jittery today, so I don't know whether it's your stream on there. Mine seems to be okay, but I
Yes,
don't know.
yours is looking really good to me, but on your system, I'm bouncing around all over the place, and the live stream looks the same way. Is my audio fine?
Yep, your
Fine.
audio's fine, but it's just sort of looked like a lot of still pictures put together. That's, also, you're doing rap dancing now, but it's looking very
Yeah, as long as the audio is fine. If they don't mind me, doing some interesting movements, then it'll be fine then.
But I usually find though that with Skype, taking chances either way. Sometimes it's fine, but at least you've got a good quality picture. Sometimes we're not that fortunate to have the good quality picture. We just have
Hmm.
the stuttering picture, and you just disappear totally. But
Hmm. Every
maybe it'll improve. I don't know. I haven't got much running on this system other than we did
Mhm.
before, and we went okay last week, didn't we? We
Yes, uh-huh. Like you say, there's just something about the connection between here and there things on my end seem to be doing just fine. I'm getting the full audio that I need from you, and I'm not hearing any stuttering at all. It's just that my picture is moving around
No,
for some reason. But
yes.
okay,
And I've
we're good.
got another cool shot that you haven't seen yet. So
Oh, let's see it. Oh, I like that one. Yeah.
people forget if we forget who we are on there, and then
Okay.
we've got our individual one. So if I'm having a bit of a rant, then I can do that, and then I can get rid of me. We can have a bit of a talking, and then get rid of that, and then we can go back to the just the normal shots as we got there, or back to the.
I'm having fun with the jittery video.
I did also find that, as I said, when I tweeted this out, I thought we could include a Twitter live stream, but then I thought no, I thought nobody's there to partake in it anyway. Maybe if you send some tweets to us while we're on here. So, but I was also thinking this week I was getting some video footage, and I was going to put something together, but with playing around with setting all this up, I wanted to make sure I had that right. So I got a bit behind, but I went out and did a bit of videoing in the car. I took one of my smaller cameras out, and I stick it in the car on a little suction cup to do some. But the only problem with that, the only place it fits nicely is upside down. So you have to film it upside down, because if you're right way up, you just can't stick it that way. So it films it okay, but everything's upside down.
Oh,
And
okay.
my two favourite video editors was Final Cut Pro and Premiere Pro, and I like both of them, and I love Premiere as well with all the things it does have. But there's one thing that Final Cut does that Premiere won't do. What Final Cut will do, you can just pick that clip and rotate it, and it will save that in the library as a right way up clip. You can put that in the timeline on Premiere and rotate it, but you've got to put the whole clip in there before you see what you're doing, and then you've got to rotate it. Whereas Final Cut, you can rotate it in the library and then just take bits and pieces how you want it. So it's really good when you've got something like that where you're filming upside down, just the way you can get it, and being able to see what you're doing, editing it the right way, rather than putting the whole 40 minutes on. Because I was in the city, and I thought, well, it was a rainy day, but I thought I'll take some shots coming back on the freeway and see if I can put some video together. But all planned was going to be doing some video, but I thought I'll just do that after I've set this thing up and done a bit of testing. And you know how it is when you have 5 minutes when you're playing around with things and setting things up, and 4 hours later you stop that 5 minutes worth of messing around. And that was me done for the video editing for the week. But I was quite happy, though I did get the camera out and do some filming, which I always feel a bit better after doing that.
Oh, yeah. No, like I said, I've been planning on doing some photography, but of course I've been busy helping other people with their podcasting and stuff. It seems like that people are that know me now are coming up and asking me. I'm going to put something here on the screen, I think. I guess it would stay on the screen if I went ahead and put it on there. But people are coming and asking me to help them with the podcasting because they want to start a show. And they know I've been doing it for a couple of years, and so they come to me. And there is the guy I was telling you about that played guitar and the thing back here. His podcast is up now and is running really, really well. And he's got about 4 episodes out now. Pretty rapid. No, he's got 5. I'm sorry, because he put 3 out to start with, and he's put 2 out in the last week. And it sounds really good, and he's really, really doing well on that. And there was another podcast, you've heard me talk about them, the Cinema Toast Crunch podcast. They got flooded out, and so now they're trying to recover and trying to get some episodes out. And he really wanted to get an episode out, and he had time to get with his cousin, so they've kind of changed the format of the show. And not the format, but the hosts anyway. The main guy and his cousin now did it. And they just opened the laptop and started talking into it and did the show. and I think there was an air conditioning running and a whole bunch of other things. And they gave me the audio on a flash drive and said, "Please fix it."
Yes.
And so I did the best I could, and it was worth putting up, and it was a good show. It was just very, very noisy, and one was closer to the mic than the other was, and but anyway, with his new house, they've just closed on a new house, and so now he's going up in the attic, is going to have his own podcasting studio. He's going to get it all set up and have the quiet stuff and the sound treatment options we've talked about and stuff like that. So that's what I've kind of been doing this week, is working with those two guys. And that was pretty cool. What did you guys do on Tech Down Over this week?
We did absolutely nothing because we
Nothing
didn't
at
have
all.
We didn't have a show this week. Rick was busy.
Okay.
So we cancelled that one this week, which is good because sometimes I like to have a lay-in every now and then, because we're doing Tech Down Over. It's the other way around. So I'm the one getting up early on your Friday, or Californian Friday afternoon, about 4 o'clock, which is about 8 o'clock Saturday morning for me. So
Okay.
but I don't mind. I still enjoy doing it, and I don't mind getting up for it. But it's always good to have a break every now and then. But getting
sure.
back to you, with you said you're friends with the podcast and doing different things wrong, don't you find, though? I don't know, but I'm a little bit the same. I should go in there and do things and mess up and do it all wrong first, rather than trying to get it right. Because sometimes I end up never doing something because you think, oh no, I've got to do it right. And same thing with video cameras. You can film everything you damn well want to, and you can erase it. You're not paying for film, but you think, oh, that's not worth it. But it doesn't really matter, does it?
Well, Dave Jackson from the School of Podcasting says you can't improve your podcast until you start putting out episodes.
You can't, because you don't know what you're doing wrong. You don't know how to improve it. So.
Yeah, and then once somebody hears it, sometimes people are more than happy to tell you what you did wrong. But I have never really had anyone troll on me over my podcasting efforts, the different things that I've put out, different things I've done, even going on other people's shows and things, for an interview or something. I've never had anyone hating on me because of anything that I did, and I'm tough enough on myself to where I want it to sound as good as possible, and I want it to be as clean, a sound as possible. And so the first episode I ever put out, I was using the microphone you can see back there at the feet of the skeleton guy back there, and I didn't realize what a noisy self-noise microphone that is until about 6 months in. and, then I started listening to it with the headphones through the H5, and of course you got a fan and power and everything. I was listening, where's that noise coming from? And finally I had another microphone to use in lieu of that one, and then it was so quiet, and I did not realize how much noise that I was having to try to remove from the recording that then will distort your voice if you have a lot of it. But I didn't know, and I did my best, and nobody ever complained about the early episodes. So there you are.
Well, that's what I'm just a little bit worried with this setup. I'm just worried I'm sounding a little bit echoey, because where I am here, I haven't got any sound treatment apart from curtains, the normal things. I think it might sound okay, but when I monitor it, I hear it a little bit echoey. But
Well,
we'll soon.
through the headphones here and coming through my recorder here, I'm hearing a slight echo, but it's not really a bad thing. It's just
It's not the reverb coming back from the thing, but just sort of like a bit,
yes.
a bit of a reverb.
Yes, I just got done editing and finishing up the show that we did last week, and like you said, there was a bit of a repeat echo, but it was really low, but it was just a little in the background, but it wasn't distracting so much on what was going on. I hear absolutely no echo at all except for room reverb, just a little bit. I actually added some more sound treatment and put up some curtains behind here, and added a little bit more just tonight before I started working on the other show, actually.
But the thing is, I could probably do with the get the sound better by having the microphone up there, but I don't like to have it in the way. I just like
right.
I like to have it out the way, and so I'm trying to see if that works better out the way. If not, I'll try next week with a headset and see how that goes.
That's fine. Like you say, we can just try different things, but I mean, it's fine. It's working. It's working well. And that is a big old microphone to have in front of your face. That's the reason why the reason why I have mine coming in from the side is that way you can still, you're going to see the mic. Of course,
That's right.
podcasters always have to show their mic. Anyway, it comes in from the side, so you can still see my face.
Well, this is the first week using this setup because last week I had the microphone coming from the top, was the Rode NTG2 coming from the top, and that can be a little bit bassy on there. And I was using the Logitech C920 camera, but the only reason I've moved all the setup here is because, like we said, I can't use the remote desktop presenter for the laptop and the Skype that you're on unless I'm physically connected. So I've got the Wi-Fi, but the physical connection's up here. And I think maybe I'll have to get a 20-meter cable doing it downstairs and have a repeater to boost the signal down there. But I've moved everything up here, so I'm on the Canon XA10 video camera. So that's a good digital camera. So that should be giving me a bit better quality than the C920. But so I'm not getting the sound from that. I've turned that off and doing it through this one and going through the Aphex, trying to cut out a little bit of the background noise, and that's because after our talking, I had a test the other night. I turned down the volume a bit because I thought I was being a bit overpowering even from this distance.
Whenever I loaded into Audacity, just the audio by itself, it was a little hot, and so of course, the audio from Blab was always pretty steady, several red lines as you went down the line there. I mean, there were red lines quite a few when we would laugh or something like that, because they had it right at the edge. And so, if somebody go, ha, then it would actually, peak and red line and stuff. So the first thing I had to do with the Blab audio was to bring it down, several dB there, just to get it down in a good workable range, and then from there I could start editing out for the podcast. This here was not as bad as the Blab audio. It was a few red lines here and there, but not a lot.
When on my end, your sound sounds good, and I think because I'm recording it this end, I think that will come out okay. But I believe on the live stream, I think your audio might be going up and down like your picture is. I don't know if you can happen to have a quick listen if you turn your mic off and have a quick listen to. Or you can't because you won't be saying anything then, will you? Oh,
well, no. I mean, I could say something. Let me turn the volume. What I did I'm actually watching the live stream on my tablet over here. Instead of having it in the same system here, I've got it on the tablet. So I just thought I'd try that out and see how that worked out. Let me see. Turn out some volume.
It's just the audio meters seem to be going not consistent with you, they're consistent with me, but they seem to be going up and down abruptly with your picture. So I think mine might be okay, but you'll yourself.
Oh, okay. Let me see what I'm saying. Yeah, on the live stream it's going.
Yeah, I thought it was saying something like that. Mine's going.
Yes, you're just now talking about going up and down abruptly on there.
Mine's going. I think mine's going okay, but yours.
Yeah, your audio is great. Mine is going.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Yeah,
I can hear that.
Yeah, that's all that's happening over the stream.
Did you want to? What we could do? Would you like if I put us back to this shot and I hung up on you and we tried you again?
Well, that's up to you. I'm getting a full recording of my own audio on this end. If you want that when it's over with, it could be something that works.
I can do it on this end. It's just the live stream won't be. You better turn your volume down on the live stream. But it's only the live stream that's not going to, because I've got a good sound on this one on the live stream. So
okay.
I don't know if you wanted to try doing that. I'm sure that's got nothing to do.
Well, it would be entertaining if anybody finds that and they see me going.
Yeah. The thing is, what I can do with the live stream, I can always delete that and just put this copy up anyway.
Okay, so you are making your own local copy.
Be a 1080p, so I can upload it anyway with the audio, and that seems to be coming out okay. Well, you're sounding okay to me, hopefully in the recording. But as you said, you're making the recording, so if it doesn't come out, I can put it into Premiere. You can give me the sound, and I can just insert your audio.
Okay.
We can do all that. So, and
That
there's
is
no.
that is honestly one of the reasons why I'm recording it on this end as well, because you never know. Again, there's so many variables here, and you might have to use my audio one week and your whole thing the next week with me pulling the audio out of that. So at least right here, I'm doing a complete local copy of my own audio and then recording what you're sending back to me.
I think that's right, because I think when you're talking, I'm hearing you okay, but my meters are going up and down, so I think I'm recording that the same way as the live stream.
Okay.
I think so. What I might do, why don't I hang up on you and you just try again. I'll stay live and we'll just do that again. So let's see if I hang up on you.
Okay.
And then I'll do there. Now, what can we say while Jeffrey's away? Let's see if he's watching the live stream. We can say some things about him, but we won't. We'll just try and get him again. Let's see if this works. Let's see if he comes back on and see if he comes back on better.
Here we are. Nope. I'm looking jerky still.
Just whether the sound's coming through okay. Anyway, you never know on this one, because as I said, I haven't got anything much going on my machine other than the Wirecast that we had, that we was going to do. But it'll be interesting to listen anyway to see how we go on that. So we'll just persist anyway.
Everything seems good on this end from what I've got going on. Nothing else other than what I see myself doing on your screen is slowing down, and I'm not running a multitude of things. I'm even doing the live stream on a completely separate system. Let me show you here. I got a little tablet with it on it. Wait a minute.
Oh, okay, that's good. So it's coming up okay. And you can see how many people's watching live, can you?
Oh yeah, every one of them. Yes.
There should be at least one person watching live, isn't it? So,
yep, that's me. One of the things I noticed on this live screen, evidently the chat stuff where you type in on the chat.
Oh, there goes that phone again. There goes
the Indian telemarketers again.
They never phone me. I should always take that off. But as I said, the only time they've ever phoned is in the middle of a show. I think that's the only time they've ever phoned me. I left the cell phone away.
Whenever they called the other day, I left I named that episode. The Indian telemarketers did not want to talk. That's what I actually named the episode.
And it's just strange. They said, I left my cell phone. I thought, no, don't even bring, because even when you've got the cell phone on silent, you can all hear the vibration anyway, can't you? Everybody doing that you never get away from that anyway. So, So what have you been up to? Anything exciting this week?
Well, like I say, I was helping people with their podcasts, and then on my own website, I've had so many people, like I said, coming to me asking me about it. About podcasting, that what I did was put a page on my website with links to some articles I've written about podcasting. And then I put links on the page for a bunch of books about podcasting from people that I know about. And then a link to the School of Podcasting by Dave Jackson, who's a friend of mine, and he really is a great guy and knows what he's doing. But anyway, and then I went and got the domain name podcastcurious.com and pointed it to that page. And so anybody who asks me, instead of saying, well, write this down and this is how you get there and then do this page and do it. No, I just say podcastcurious.com, and I think it's a lot easier to remember. And then that'll just take them straight to that page on my website with all those links and everything. And so some of the articles I've written and then some of the other stuff too. So podcastcurious.com.
So you bought that, did you?
Yes. Yeah. It shocked me that nobody had it. I mean, there's all kinds of different things people could get, but there are people who are curious about podcasting, and it's kind of a catchy little phrase. So podcast curious. And
Yeah,
so,
no, I wish I could do more like that. Get into the advice thing, or doing the different articles. I did have somebody asking me about doing some articles on something else, but not sort of that serious. But there's so many people around, and I get advice and I enjoy watching a lot of these tutorials. But I still get a bit thinking, well, there's all these good people about. What would they want to listen to me for? So,
well, the people that I know are coming to me. And at work, there's 300 some people around or whatever. And I'm the podcast guy, because I've been doing it for a couple of years. And of course, you tell people about it, and some people have my cards, that I've passed around just here and there. When somebody's curious about it, then I'll go ahead and give them a card to, go to my website and check out my show. It's just like one of those things, you're working with somebody all this time, and all of a sudden you realize that they are just this amazing singer, or they do these amazing paintings, or you just know them in that work environment, and then all of a sudden you find that they are talented in a way that just has nothing to do with the work environment, and it really surprises you. And so people find out that they're podcasting, you're podcasting, and they say, usually what they say is, yeah, you've got the voice for it. But I mean, I had a guy at Walmart do me that way. They asked him where something was at, and I said, yeah, I was looking at this, to do for my podcast. And you say that, so I hope they'll say, hey, what's your podcast? And you can give them an address, and then they can go there. So, you just kind of throw it out there every now and then. He goes, yeah, I thought it was either radio or podcasting.
well,
Okay.
you've got Fry's around your area, haven't you?
Got what? Fries.
A place, electrical store, Fry's.
No, we don't
No,
have
it's a
fries.
California one.
Oh, okay.
California one, but it's
Oh,
it's sort of like a, just like the electrical place. And I went in one in California, and I was saying, where could you point me towards your microphones? The lady who had to, what's a microphone?
so we're talking electrical, not electronic.
But she said, but the only way, she said, oh, I get what you mean. Like those podcasting things where they have the headset and the microphone. And so, and I was just really, really shocked that they didn't know. But I'd say it's a sign of the times, though, isn't it? They know what they are, but if it's got to be related to something that they're interested in, podcasting or something like that on the internet. Oh yes, if like those headset for games and that have the microphone. Oh, that's what it is. But when you're just asking for a freestanding microphone, no, I didn't have much luck with that. So, but it's quite funny though. It's one of my microphones. It said that Rode, the NT1A. They're produced, I think, in New South Wales here, and I bought mine in Hawthorne in California on one of my trips because it was cheaper to buy it there and bring it back than it was to buy it here.
I can understand. Yeah, I can understand that. Because I mean, I find it, and again, you have the translation of the currency and everything, but you just wonder, why are things so much more expensive there? I guess maybe, well, you've got a lot of travel distance and everything. Distribution here is probably where everything is a little closer in, and we've got the interstate highways, and I'm guessing transportation and actual delivery of an item is much less than it would be where you're at.
But get this. This is what was on the radio today. It was on about natural gas prices. How our natural gas price for local consumption has gone up by 10% since last year. The price
And that's
on
the
natural
locally
gas.
produced stuff.
And they said we're the world's biggest producers of natural gas.
Yeah.
We export the most that do in the world, and they said the dearest place on the earth that sells gas is Japan, that we supply Japan for, and theirs is 25% cheaper than ours.
That
And
doesn't make any sense at all.
Ship it all the way over there, sell it to them, and they can sell it 25% cheaper than we get it. So
Okay,
where do you get that from?
do you all have some kind of special price controls or something that the government is allowing them to go to a certain point or something like that?
No.
Because I mean,
I just think it's like they've got this thing that they can get money for. They said whatever, but they'll charge locally because you have to get it. So where else are you going to get it from if we're the main suppliers? We're not going to buy it from somebody else. We can't get it cheaper. But
I don't
it's
know.
very strange.
Maybe you ought to have the Japanese to import it back. You might actually get
But
it cheaper.
it's a bit like in England though. They had the coal mines, and there was closed the last coal mine down in England because it was cheaper for the English to buy their coal from Argentina than it was 5 miles up the road.
And that's what's happening around here. The coal industry. There's a lot of coal being exported, like to China and places like that. But there's so much pressure locally for coal to be just shut down. Not
Left,
necessarily as
yeah.
much in West Virginia, but people from outside of West Virginia and in Washington are saying it needs to be shut down, for environmental purposes mainly. And it's destroying the livelihood of an awful lot of people around here, for that. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know when the last one will be, but it seems to me that coal companies should be in advance instead of spending all their time fighting the shutdown so much. Maybe they should be investing in the what's next, which would be,
Well, that's
the
right.
air and the solar and things like that. I mean, if you are investing in those type of things and maybe take some of those same people, put them to work in those type of industries while the transition is happening, you're going to be sure-footed whenever everything shuts down. You're going to be ready.
Yeah, because you can see the writings on the wall for the coal industry, isn't it?
Hmm.
The only
It is.
way they're getting it is because nearly every country stopped the production. So the ones that are doing it, they
Hmm.
can sell it for whatever the one they're producing a lot and that. But there's still tons of that left, isn't there? There's plenty of it, but they're trying to move away from it. But it's just not very environmentally friendly.
Right. It's there's different, and it depends on where you can get your coal from. One of the things that has hurt us more than even the environmental movement, I think, out in Wyoming, they have coal that is about 3 or 4 feet below the ground, and and they finally found some coal. Our coal had a real good grade to it. It was a very superior coal. But they found coal that is very similar to ours, but it's only about 3 or 4 or 5 feet below ground out in Wyoming, out west. And all they have to do is take a bulldozer, push it off, dig the coal up, and send it away. It costs half probably to produce what ours does
Yeah,
underground and
because
stuff.
because it's all that. It's very dangerous as well, and you're digging and they have all these mine collapses and that. With if it's
Hmm.
just under the ground, it's just a few feet there, and just take it
Just,
away.
just with a bulldozer, uncover it, dig it up, send
So
it down the road.
isn't Wyoming the close encounters state? That is that Wyoming? Was that?
Oh, no, you were thinking about New Mexico. That's the one that has, Area 51 and all that.
No, no. Did you see Close Encounters with?
Oh, yeah,
with
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
yeah,
I wouldn't,
Wyoming.
I wasn't aware what state that was in. I've seen that once. It's been a long time ago, but I don't remember what state it happened in. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was Wyoming, and that's.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that has to do with coal and that we're talking about anyway. So,
Mm-hmm.
but we've got onto a good subject. We've already covered some politics that we discovered lies being told about.
Mm-hmm.
Pledge of Allegiance. I just thought that was strange. I thought, isn't that sort of as American as apple pie? Sort of the Pledge of Allegiance, and saying that.
Well, there's a lot of people who are more conservative that are always ready to believe that a liberal is shutting down all of our institutions and all of our national pride and all of that. I mean, that's what you're going to find the conservative talk people saying, the extreme things that they can find. But this here, like you say, I am a cynic when it comes to things I hear on the internet. I don't generally believe, automatically don't believe, and then it needs to be proven to me before I believe it, because it's coming from the internet. It's considered the source. Well, I verified 2 or 3 separate sources that I trusted, various news agencies that, and you're getting the same story circulating around, direct quotes from the president and all this. And it turns out it was a hoax. I found out, as a matter of fact, I have a friend at work who he is an artist, kind of a bohemian guy, a very, very super liberal, almost socialist kind of a guy. But he's probably one of my best friends at work, and I'm a very conservative guy. And so we have some great conversations. And the reason why is because we can talk without getting mad and screaming at each other. There's no, and so I really enjoy, I mean, he's been all over the world. His wife is from China. He met her when he was teaching at a university in China. And so he has got so many experiences that where he's been around the world. He's lived all over the United States. He's lived in other parts of the world. And so me, I have lived within 20 miles or 30 miles of this spot my entire life. And I've traveled, in the United States, but as far as like ever, I've never been out of the country. And so we have two completely different outlooks on everything. And it's really nice to be able to have those conversations and stuff. But he's the one that found out it was a hoax. I told him about it when I got to work, and I said, "Well, did you hear anything about that?" And he said he didn't hear anything about it at all. And then he went online on his phone and found that half of them were announcing this, and the other half of the things that came up on Google were saying it was all a hoax. And he come back and said it was a hoax. And I said, "Well, I trust you more than I trust, ABC or NBC. So, evidently it's a hoax."
Mm. It was funny you should say about, you haven't moved much from the distance and that, because the impression I get from over here that nearly everybody else in America, they're always from somewhere else. Like very rarely that I'll speak to somebody like yourself and West Virginia. No, well, where did you go? I grew up in New York. Or no, everybody's from somewhere else, and I think unlike here is, where we live here, you tend to work there, and that's where it is. But in America, if there's a good job the other side of the country, you go. But people tend not to do that here, whereas they'll move whole families there and then say, "Oh, there's another job. I'll move over there."
Well, my father worked for the Postal Service, so I always knew when the testing for the Postal Service was. And, it's not like I got this big, exciting thing for the mail, but it was a great job. It was the best job in this area with the coal industry already, seeing what was happening to it. And it was a good, steady employment. Chemical plants were a big deal whenever I was a kid, but I just set my sights on the Postal Service. Right after I turned 18, I took my first test. I took like 5 tests, and I got hired like on the third one that I had taken whenever I was 23 years old. This past week, I guess that's something else that happened to me. I just had my 30th anniversary at the Postal Service. So it's a good, long, steady job. I can retire. My first retirement date's in 3 years. Well, next month I'll be 53. I can retire at age 56. The way it's set up. So I could retire in 3 years. I'd like to retire in 3 years. We'll see. But anyway, so there's been no reason for me to ever go anywhere. Now, our daughter, she moved to Indiana, as soon as she got a real job and she got out of college. And, and then she moved to Indiana for that job. And because there aren't many jobs around here anymore, and there aren't any like the Postal Service that you can work an entire career at one job. So I'm here, and again, the job might have made me move, but I'm real dedicated to this area. I love it here. This is home. My wife's the same way. She's lived here all of her life, and we just want to be here. And, if anything, when I'm at work, I'm always thinking about being home.
Well, and that's the thing is, as you said, you've your 30th year in there. My current job being there 16 years, but the only reason I probably left, well, I didn't leave the other one. It's sort of the business closed down, so I would have been there for nearly 15 years. So I'd be about the same. And it wasn't that I looked for another job. It just the business went out of business, so you had no choice but to sort of move on. And then I had a sort of an interim one, and they sort of moved out and centralised to somewhere else. But if that was America, I would have probably centralised with them. But they moved from Melbourne to Sydney. But I was like you, I just thought, well, no, I wanted to stay in Melbourne. But like most Americans would say, I'm just moving where the job takes me.
Mm-hmm. And now there's also a lot of situation to where, okay, we want to stay here. We want to be here, as long as we possibly can, as long as we can be independent. We live by ourselves now since our daughter moved out. But if we get to the point to where health-wise we cannot live alone, the last thing I'm going to do if my daughter is, say, in Oregon or California or someplace, is to say, no, you're going to have to move here and take care of me. As much as I want to live out my life here, whatever, if they're going to be taking care of us, which they swear they're going to, that would be my responsibility to make it as easy on them as possible. And so we may move close to them if we had to do that. But it's not, again, we want to be here and be independent, obviously, as long as we can. And I'll be 53 here next month, so hopefully I can be independent for another week or two.
And that's the thing is, though, and if you're not independent, you probably don't mind moving so much because you appreciate the help anyway. So
Oh, sure.
it's some people say, "I'll never live here." So yeah, but that's fine when you're nice and healthy and you can manage that. But your mindset changes when you really do need help and that. So, but it's nice that your daughter and that has said that they will look after you when you're in your old age and that. But it's
Well, it always
hopefully you'll
pays.
never need it.
Well, it always pays to be nice to your children because they're the one that's picking your nursing home.
Well, that's what they do say, isn't it? So, yeah, that's right. So,
So be nice.
but I think there's something to be said to, when before you think about retirement, think about a plan for where you're going to go if you do need help. But I mean, some people just will not accept the fact that they might need it. But it's like everything else. If you plan ahead, there's no surprise. You know what's going to be coming. But some people get a surprise with the wait until they're real desperate and they need it. And there was some people. Oh, I didn't think I'd need that. I said, well, you're 87. What do you think? Or something like that. I said, oh, but I know with my mum and her friends were saying, oh, but so and so's just gone into care, but they're only our age. And I said, yeah. 86, 87, it's not young anymore. So I said, but I suppose it's like us. I still think, I just sit down and think, oh, gee, I'm, nearly 55. And you just don't believe that. You think, oh, it was just 23 not so long back.
Yeah, but
It just goes so
but you were there the whole time. I mean, you were there the entire time. So, yep, I remember all that. Yeah, and it does. And things, all the things our parents said, it goes faster, the longer you go, the faster it goes because you spend your entire life wishing it away. Like, today's my day off. I have to go back to work tomorrow. As soon as I go back to work tomorrow, I'm going to be thinking about the next weekend and I'm ready. I'm ready for that next weekend, and I'm thinking about the next show we're doing. And, my wife and I might have plans, today I've got a checkup to go to the doctor and stuff like that. So, we got some plans, but one of the things I have noticed is that my wife and I, even at the age we are now, she has quite a few doctor appointments where she's, disabled. And one of the reasons I have days off in the middle of the week is specifically, because you can get doctor's appointments on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So that just saves me taking a lot of leave and things like that. But what's funny is we schedule, when there's a doctor's appointment, we schedule activities. She can't really get out and drive by herself. So we schedule things around the doctor appointments. Like last week, she had a doctor appointment. And we went, I took her there was a couple stores she'd been wanting to go to. Involving things like makeup and hair preparations and stuff like that men enjoy. And and so yeah, and so we went out and
I see you get a lot of use out of your hair products. Yes.
Oh, totally. Well, I did at one point, but it's kind of went away. So, but exactly. But what's funny is this is stuff that she can't really go and do by herself. So we went out and we looked at those, and I'm holding things and carrying things around, and we went and got some nice dinner and do some things. But we scheduled all of that around a doctor's appointment, and that's just what you do.
But the thing is, if you don't do that, and you just have a doctor's appointment or anything like that, I found if you don't plan around those sort of things, you end up using the whole day just to do the doctor's appointment. You think, well, I managed to go to work, come home, do this, do that, and all I've done today is gone to the doctor's appointment. And it doesn't take too long when you say, oh, we've got plenty of time, have another cup of tea or coffee. Oh, then we can. But if you plan, like you said, it's actually quite good to plan, and then you feel like you've accomplished something rather than just having just a doctor's appointment. So it's
And,
good that you
and
do that as well.
well, it also makes the doctor appointment. What do they say? A spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. So
Julie Andrews, isn't it?
yes, yes.
That's it's,
Well, yeah, I think so. So if you have some medicine to take, then you might as well do something nice to go along with it and make it a little easier to take. So, you know,
you were saying before, like the parents say, time goes quicker, and I think I argued with my mother about 20 years ago when she said that. I said that's not fair. It's going quicker for me now.
uh,
That was
uh,
when I was, in the 30s, and I think
mhm,
it's that we've got so much to do these days that
yes,
time just goes so. Whereas, like when my mother was a child, I think she used to say that weekends were deadly. They used to take forever. It was
mm,
like because there was nothing
wow,
to do. Instead of, and whereas now there's just such an abundance to do. You just have to think, what am I going to do, and it just goes so down quickly. And like even I was thinking when you do get to go into a retirement home, and like even where my mum is in residential care, 10, 15 years ago, that's all you could do was sort of sit there or watch TV. But now with the internet, they all have Wi-Fi in them. So
hmm
if you go into there with just a little bit of knowledge with computers, so you can get on the internet. And let's face it, I think my mother's about the only person in Australia who can't handle an iPad. But we won't go there, so we've left that. But as I said, you've got all these things where you can still do a lot of things and be very entertained without being very mobile these days. Whereas, if you were old 40 years ago, there was not a lot you could do. Was there, sir?
well, even
If nobody took you out.
23, 24 years ago, whenever my father-in-law passed away. Well, before that, he was an invalid for, a couple of years or so before that, and it was kind of a slow thing. But about 6 months or so, or before he passed away, they got cable up, it was out in the country, and they got cable, and there was like 15 channels, and that was just the most amazing thing. There was no internet that he could access, and he wouldn't have understood it anyway. I was a computer guy. I'd been doing some, programming, and I was helping other people. And the basic concept of a computer in that area was I will get a computer and my kids will be smart. But they had no idea what you use a computer for until they would say, Jeff, we're having an event at the church. And I said, okay, I'll make you a flyer for that if you guys can get copies. And then I would get out there and I would lay out a flyer and give them a flyer. And, oh, that is so cool. You did that on your computers? Yeah. And, and people slowly learned what a computer could do. I ran a computer bulletin board system, and this was just for geeks, though. Girls were not interested in it at all. I had a couple girls on there, but it was just guys. But once they put the tech out of the way, and you could just get on there and chat, and that was with AOL. Um, then all of a sudden the women just flooded the space because you could just get on there and talk, and you didn't have to be technical or, all that stuff. And they didn't really care to learn it, but you give them a tool they can use, easily, and they just jump on there and start doing it. And so it's just a completely different thing nowadays, and things have developed so quickly.
And that's the
Like,
thing, when I first got into this, you used to get the computer and write programs to do these little games and do these accounting packages. You used to write things. And then,
mhm,
like now, you can get them things 1,000 times better than I could ever probably write for free. So there's no point. They said, so why don't you do it anymore? I said, well, there's these kids who can just tap out this thousands of lines of code without thinking about it. They're just born into it. They're just amazing at how they can do that, and they can make it do everything. So what's the point? It's there's so much around there. So, but you're getting back to the early days. Do you remember when Microsoft released Encarta on a
yes,
CD-ROM? And I thought
yes.
that was the most fantastic thing, because that was just pre-internet, wasn't it? Because we just didn't quite have internet yet. So
Yeah, but search was a big deal. I mean, you would have search on your own computer, and it was all on, like you say, on a CD and everything, and just being able to search. I mean, even if it took 5 minutes to find it, because you had a slow drive or whatever, that was still so cool.
And I think it was. I always remember because it was when Windows 95 was launched
Hmm. I
in
have a Windows.
1998,
I
wasn't
have, yeah, I have a Windows 95 computer in my barn.
it? I
You know,
did. I had a few of them, and just one day I just threw them all out in the rubbish, and I
mhm.
thought they might have been worth something these days, but I thought it was just I had loads of them, all these ones that I thought no, I never plug them in. It's just rubbish, and I've got plenty of door stops around here, so I didn't need any. Didn't, but I had even the I don't know if you heard it was a Sinclair, and it was a one
Timex Sinclair.
and it
Mex,
was a 1K machine
yes, yes.
total. That was it, 1K.
Okay, down in the barn, and this was not mine, this was the previous owner. There was a box down in the barn, and it actually has a Texas Instruments TI 99 1A.
Yes, I
Remember,
remember them.
it,
Yeah.
yeah, it was one of those. I do have an operational Commodore 64. I still do.
I threw that out. I had a Commodore 64 and the what they call it, the VIC 120, I think it was,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
the Vic 20, and it
VIC
was
20 and the Commodore 120, then the
mhm.
Commodore 64, then the Commodore 120, I think it was.
Yeah, the 128. Yes. Yeah, what they were doing, they were bouncing, but they had the Vic 20, I think, had 4K in it. And then the 64, of course, had 64. The 128 had 128. But yeah, it was. Now I remember on the 64, I remember us writing programs and using compressors or compactors to get more code in there because we were running out of space. And then, of course, you could. There were some native subroutines that were in the computer that you could access, and it could do stuff for you so you wouldn't have to actually code that part. And so you could use a machine language subroutine that was built into the system. And so, I mean, we were still using those compactors and things like that, trying to get everything to fit. Um,
Threatening one of these to find my one of my bit of my video footage where I put some titles on it from my Commodore 64, and I used, and it, my first trip to Los Angeles in 1984, and it took me. It probably took about 3 hours for it to draw this picture of this title, just
mhm.
the opening. And it was fascinating because back then you couldn't do any titles. You'd have to have hundreds of thousands of dollars to get titles on to
Mhm.
video, and nobody could do it. So I'd figured out with the Commodore 64, they never had proper monitors. You had to plug them into the back of a TV.
Well,
So, so I outputted my video signal from the Commodore 64 into the back of the video recorder and
mhm.
recorded it. So,
Okay. Well, I took mine, and this was in the 90s, believe it or not. I dusted the thing off, and there was some old 8 millimeter footage of family reunions and things like that that my aunt asked me to jump into, and cause her husband had died. My uncle, who the guy that ran around with the camera all the time and shine the lights in everybody's eyes. And so she wanted to save those. And at that point, they need to be transferred to VHS tape. And so I my brother had one of these things that you could actually do the transfer. You shine it into it, and then you video off of it with a video camera. And so I was transferring all of her 8 millimeter stuff. There's just tons of it. And so I was trying to figure, well, how am I going to be able to tell them, because it was written on each reel what year this was? How am I going to tell them on the video how to do that? And so I thought, well, it's a regular video output off the Commodore 64. So I had a calendar program that I had written, and what it would do, you could type in a date, and it had an algorithm in there that would, calculate and put the calendar for that month on the screen. And so I got that program and actually found an earlier version to where I could stop it with the calendar on the screen without the menu options at the bottom, because you could print, you could do this. And I made it come on the screen and then stop and just have the calendar on the screen. And then I would put the same number of seconds, because everybody knows that the ones in July were July 4th, because that was my grandparents' and my grandparents' anniversary, and then it was always the first weekend of December for the Christmas party. So all I had to do was put a monthly calendar on there. So I just pop that on there, and they're all set up that way with that funny little calendar thing I had going on that I had written, 15 years earlier. Or no, it's longer than that. And then I just brought the thing up on the screen and used it. And this was in the later '90s, actually, transferring these things over to VHS tape. And
And one of my early computers was I think just after Apple had brought out when it was what's it, the Apple One, or what was their first one?
yeah, it was just the. I thought it was just the Apple by itself, and then they had the
But what
G, the Apple
what I,
II,
what
Apple.
I bought was Hitachi brought one out,
Oh,
and they called it the Peach.
okay. Okay.
Hitachi Peach. And they had 5 1/4 inch floppies, but it had,
Yes,
but that was their sort of, I think, rebellion to Apple. So they brought out the Peach,
the Peach.
the Peach. But
Well, I wonder who won that battle.
well, that's right. Yeah, I didn't even realize and didn't remember until now that Hitachi did a computer. So that's how well
I
that
had
battle turned out.
I was really big into the computer stuff, and I had never heard of the Peach.
Haven't you? Have a look it up. There's got pictures of it. If you look
Oh wow!
Hitachi Peach,
Oh wow!
there is one, and that's one I had, and it had, it came with a monitor, but it was a really great unit. It's an all-in-one big chunky one like the Apple
Okay.
type
Okay.
machine, but it was, and when you really think about it, all of them did pretty much nothing, didn't they? Unless you
Mm-hmm.
unless you did some programming on them, they really didn't do much because there wasn't a lot of programs out there unless you were paying. Oops, you just switched screens,
Yeah,
haven't you?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I decided I would share that screen. Screen.
Okay, so what's that screen? I'll just put it
Um,
on full screen on that
um,
one. So, oh,
yeah, that's a picture I took here in West Virginia whenever there was high water one time at the base of a waterfall. Actually, uh, yeah, I was just freezing
I
the
was
thing
just
up.
freezing the thing
I
oh,
up.
like
okay,
I
that
like
looks
I
good.
like freezing water and things
freezing
like that. I enjoy
water
that
and
type of
things like
stuff and
that. I
taking
enjoy that
close-up
type of
shots, and
stuff
so
and
that's
taking
what I do.
close-up shots, and so that's what I
Yeah,
do.
I like
Anyway,
that rather than just just ordinary things. But the thing is, you just don't know. As I said, I'm trying to make a bit of a video, and I did take the camera out and caught some nice video shots of some seagulls, and I think I
Yes.
showed, and it looked really good. But they were just flying above my head, but it was so windy, it looks like they're moving fast, but they were just above my head, and the wind kept blowing them away. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah,
but
so well,
like photography and even video, but especially photography, is not what's there; it's what you let them see.
and that's where it is, because when everybody says about the ideals, there's you just don't know until you've taken it and what you can get out of it. It's all depends what people are looking for.
Hmm.
Like you can have like on the TV, you can have a nice, lovely, clear shot, perfect. It's got the best picture out, but
Hmm.
people don't want to see that. They want to see a different. It's too strong. It's too realistic. They've got life. They want something a bit different. So
Hmm. That's
anyway,
true.
that's what keeps creativity going, because there's so many different variations of it, isn't there? And we're
Hmm.
all different. It's very, 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 very boring life anyway. So,
Hmm.
well, I can see the clock's getting on the wall, nearly to the end of the hour of the new weekly catch up, but I don't think it's been very successful for the live streaming, because I think your sound's cutting out. So I'm glad you've recorded the audio, because you can send it to me and I can sync it with this,
Hmm.
and then so I'll be able to get your audio out of it. You see, so because you
Hmm.
did it straight from the beginning when I said recording, didn't? Well, it doesn't matter. I can find a point
Yeah.
to
Well,
sync it on.
actually did it before you even started. So there's some preeminent stuff at
It
the
doesn't
beginning.
matter. So it's easy. Now I've got on the screen. So for anybody watching, as I said, we're going to be live streaming now every Wednesday. So it's 6 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's what they call it for yours in the US, and it's 8 p.m. AEST, which is Australian Eastern Standard Time. Because we're in winter, you're in Eastern Daylight Time. Is that what it is? Eastern
Yep.
Daylight Time, and we're
Yep.
in Australian Eastern Standard Time. So.
Hmm.
That's getting nearly to the end of our first show in this. So thanks again, Jeff, and
Oh, it was my
we should
pleasure.
catch up next week. So everybody watching, please subscribe, And please leave some notes and tell us how horrible we are. At least we know somebody's watching. But if this sounds too horrible, well, the live stream will put up a nicer copy. Or if it sounds too horrible, nobody will see this version of it.
Yeah, but if if you're listening to the podcast and you want to see what we look like, you need to come over and either go to Jeff Blanchard's his YouTube channel, or whenever you come over to my website, wholeregnewmedia.com, for this particular episode, you'll see that I have embedded the video, and you can watch the same video anyway, and you can see what we
Okay. Bye for now. See you next week.